Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the members of the press for attending. We're appreciative that we'll be able to get this message to the masses. I'm gravely and deeply concerned about my country. I'm concerned about our military. I'm concerned because our president has made some comments that are at minimum reckless, comments that can lead us to a war, comments that might get us into an inferno unlike that which even the mind of Dante can imagine. I'm concerned because of the many lives that may be lost. The experts tell us that a war in Korea can cause tens of thousands of lives to be lost. Our military happens to be right on the front line. I'm concerned that this president has not given diplomacy an opportunity to become effective. We just consummated an agreement with the Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, a unanimous consent, if you will, from the Security Council, from the Big Five. This agreement would cause the North Koreans to suffer some degree of discomfort such that they would have to give some thought to alternatives that may be available to them. It would cut the number of persons that can go abroad and work and send money back home. This is one of their major means of acquiring funds to finance their government. It also would cut about 1/3 of their exports, about $1 billion. This agreement is something that was a positive step forward. But the president, having made these statements, has put us in a position such that what has happened at the UN is being undercut. The president has put us in a position now such that either he will have to back up his talk, which would be war, or he will have to back down. If he backs it up, lives are going to be lost. If he backs down, the United States is going to look weak. Either way, we will have our image tarnished. My hope is that the president will walk back his comments, as the Secretary of State has already attempted to do by indicating we should sleep well at night. But the president has not made a comment that would indicate that he understands what he has done. The United States of America is a superpower. We are the lone superpower. And a superpower has to have super intelligence. A superpower can make a super colossal mistake if a superpower doesn't have super intelligence. We must depend upon those persons who work in the fields, those who are out in the arena, if you will, those who understand the conflicts that we are engaged in and can possibly become entangled in. We have to rely on what they tell us. We cannot make decisions on a whim. We cannot make knee-jerk decisions. We cannot allow ourselves to be willy-nilly when it comes to foreign affairs, especially as it relates to war. So, Mr. President, I'm calling upon you today as the head of a superpower to do this. If you have the time to announce your intentions, you have the time to come before Congress. You have the time to let Congress know what your intentions are, and the American people let them understand what the consequences are. You have the time for us to deliberate and debate. Give Congress an opportunity to do what it does. Only Congress can declare war. The president cannot constitutionally declare war. And if you are about to engage in this type of activity with North Korea, it will be a war. And there will be many lives lost. So I call upon you, Mr. President, to do the honorable thing, the thing that is required by the Constitution, and allow Congress to weigh in before you decide to engage in a war with North Korea. This is not Afghanistan with drones flying over. This will not be Syria with cruise missiles going in. The boots are already on the ground in South Korea. The boots are there. These are our people. We owe it to them to give Congress the opportunity to debate this issue. Only Congress can declare war, Mr. President. Please be mindful and please understand that we are a superpower and we can make super mistakes if we're not careful. I welcome your questions.
When you hear comments like you said yesterday, you feel our fire fury. How does Washington take that? I mean, when you hear things like that?
Well, the first thing I thought of when I heard those comments, quite frankly, was Macbeth. And in Macbeth, Shakespeare talks of the tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. My hope was that the president was not going to have words full of sound and fury, signifying something that might lead us to a war that could spiral out of control and have an impact on the entire globe. That was my hope, and those were my initial thoughts. My thoughts also were, how will North Korea, how will the leaders there perceive the president's statements? They have every reason to believe that the president is serious. And if they believe that he is serious, how will they react? They immediately, apparently, reacted by indicating what they might do with Guam. This, in and of itself, has called the president's bluff. In the world of geopolitical affairs, you can't talk tough unless you're going to back up your tough talk. If you don't back your tough talk up, it's just talk. I don't want the president to just talk. I don't want the president to overextend himself and talk himself into a corner such that he has to fight his way out. I think the president should step back now, give himself the opportunity to think through this, and then give us an opportunity to weigh in on this in Congress. The time has come now for Congress to step up to the plate and take on the responsibility that has been accorded it under the Constitution, which is to declare war or not declare war in circumstances like this.
How close do you think we are to that decision?
No one knows how close we are, but we can say this. We have put ourselves in a position such that reckless behavior can cause us to get into a war that could have been avoided. I think that we are in a position such that we can continue negotiations, and we should. We have the two major powers that we needed at the table there, Russia and China. We can continue to negotiate. I don't know how long we have, but I do know that we don't have to rush into war. And I do know that we don't have to allow visceral reactions, allow our impulses to cause us to do things that the world will regret later. This is about more than the United States of America, and it's about more than a president who has been a bully all of his life, who has succeeded because he has been able to bully others. His bully tactics have worked for him in his personal life, in his professional life before Congress. But bully tactics don't work in geopolitical affairs when we are talking about the possibility of war. So, Mr. President, it's time to become presidential. It is time to become thoughtful. It is time to give the country some indication as to where you think we're going. And it's time to talk about how war can be avoided. A superpower can police the world. There is no question about it. We can and we have policed the world. But that's not really the question that a superpower has to answer, Mr. President. The question that a superpower has to answer is, can we bring peace to the world? Can we negotiate with people that have demonstrated an unwillingness to do so? This is what you expected of President Obama. Why would you expect less of yourself than you expected of President Obama? Please, Mr. President, give peace a chance. Let us not rush into war, especially a war that may consume the globe.
What is your message to the public, the constituents, the United States, citizens at this point? It's a very grave point in time.
The American people are a part of this participatory democracy. You participate by talking to your congresspersons, your senators, You let us know what your desires are. You should weigh in. You should make it clear as to what your desires are, and you should become very much concerned and very much learned and studied about what's going on in Korea. This is a very trying time in the life of our country. You have every right to weigh in. As a matter of fact, it is expected that you would weigh in, because if you do not, if you say nothing, then the belief will be among those who have votes in Congress that you're okay with what's going on. I don't believe the American people are okay. I believe the American people want to see us be thoughtful. They want us to consider all of the options and carefully move forward and not rush to war. There is no need to rush to war, and we should not talk ourselves into a corner such that war becomes the only option available to us. Don't take diplomacy off the table, Mr. President. Give diplomacy a chance, and in so doing, you will give the world an opportunity to have peace. If there are no more questions, I will close with these thoughts. We have a duty and responsibility, those of us who hold public trust, to not allow the voices of the dogs of war to drown out those who are for peace. I believe that we still have an opportunity to develop diplomacy such that war can be averted, especially under the circumstances where many lives can be lost. So as a person who has a vote and a voice, I've got a voice on the issue, and I've got a vote when it comes to war. I'm going to cast my vote. I will be there to cast my vote, and I'm going to cast my vote in the interest of the American people, not only at home, but also abroad. I want Americans to be able to travel safely and return home. I want American soldiers, our military, to be able to return home. There is always a concern for their safety, but we don't have to do things in a visceral way, in an impulsive way, such that we put them in harm's way unnecessarily. I want to make sure that I've done all that I can to cause my country to have the opportunity to avoid war. I wear this tie because I love my country. And because I love my country, I want to make sure that we avoid war. It is only something that should occur as a very last resort, and we shouldn't pop off capriciously and arbitrarily about what we're capable of doing. We are a superpower. We are the lone superpower. We have a responsibility to the world, and a part of that responsibility is to bring peace whenever possible to all of the people in the world. Thank you.